Okay, thank you, Steve Castle and TCTV. We'll open this meeting of the Templeton Community Preservation Committee. I'm John Henshaw. For members in attendance, we have Dennis Rich, myself, Brad Leighton, Joanne Burden, George Andrews, Carrie Novak, and Mike Dixon, with our special guest, Carter Terenzini. We might be joined by Bob Zock and or Adam Lamontagne. And thank you, Hannah, for hosting the meeting with TCTV and Steve Castle. So the first item on the agenda is the minutes of the last meeting. Dennis sent out a copy of the minutes from September 10th, another Zoom meeting. I don't know if anybody needs additional time to review those minutes. If not, we'll entertain a motion for discussion or voting.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes from our September 10th, was it, meeting?
Right.
Thank you. Second, motion by Carrie, seconded by Brad to accept the minutes. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye and or waving.
Aye.
Dennis?
I accept them.
Okay, there, I know you wrote them. Any opposed? Any abstentions? We'll count Mike as an abstention because I think he's not fully connected, but thank you very much. I see we also have Bob on the line now. Welcome, Bob. The next item on the agenda is the town meeting update. I haven't seen it posted, but it's my understanding that the special town meeting is scheduled for November 4th. Is that right, Mr. Terrence?
Actually, it's October 26th now.
Oh, goodness. Okay. All right. So we have a special town meeting on October 26th, which I believe the selectmen are going to be setting the warrant for probably at their workshop on Wednesday, or?
That's correct.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda is the discussion on the Stone Bridge project. And Mr. Terenzini might have some light to share on what exactly is going on with that. The town did approve, I believe it was $35,000 for the initial expenditure of CPC funds towards developing that project. And now we've got some more information to share about what might happen. Can we give you the floor, sir?
Please. So when the Stone Bridge initially had problems, we had $25,000 of free cash that was appropriated, and we used that to retain Malone and McBroom, and they did a conceptual analysis of 4 or 5 different alternatives, ranging from no bridge whatsoever to a 6-foot pedestrian bridge, 12-foot pedestrian bridge, full vehicular access, 2 lanes both ways, and a 1-lane vehicular bridge. The selectmen settled on the 2 pedestrian bridges. At the low end, the estimate was in the neighborhood of $260, and at the upper end, it was in the neighborhood of $320. The reason being that the vehicular constructions ranged at the time north of $750,000. That was for the 1-way bridge, and a 2-way bridge was closer to $900,000. That initial study is available on the website under major projects. With the selectmen settling on a preferred approach, the CPC assisted us last year with $35,000, which we have used to do the preliminary design on pedestrian bridges. We are finalizing the submission to the Conservation Commission for their meeting in October, and we made application to the state of Massachusetts for monies under their culvert replacement program. It's not a big program. We didn't get big dollars, but we did get $25,000 to finish the design permitting for the very first phase. We have sent along to Steve Castle 3 sketches. One is a site plan. We're hoping he can put that up for us to look at briefly. Steve, are you able to share that? Thank you very much. This is essentially where we were after the conceptual plan. You can see it being reconstructed with a pedestrian bridge, kayak and canoe launches on both sides is the proposal, and some parking areas. So that's the overall complete build out over several years because of the monies that it costs, and we want to try to find other grants and means of helping to pay for this besides town and CPC funds if we can at all do so. Steve, if you can switch to the structural sketch next, please.
Hold on a minute, please.
So Carter, was there parking in there? Did you have parking?
Yes, there's some limited parking, about 5 spaces. We have had some communication with the owners of the property pre-COVID. Both had some questions, but seemed interested in assisting the town. Post-COVID, we have sent out a letter or 2. We haven't gotten anything back, but we'll continue to pursue that. So structurally, this just shows you a little bit more of a close-up of a 12-foot bridge, whether it ends up being 8 foot in the end or 12 feet. The difference between the two is not that major. The 12-foot bridge is in the neighborhood, believe it or not, by the time you put in the abutments to carry it and you put in the prefab bridge, is in the neighborhood of $90,000. If we bring that down to about an 8-foot bridge, it's not a geometric reduction in pricing. It's about a 15% plus or minus reduction in pricing. So there's $10,000 or so that could conceivably be saved. So the important piece here is the elevation. And I don't know, Steve, if you can enlarge that at all. May not be possible to. Thank you, Steve. And if there's any perfect, thank you very much. So the initial phase is to remove the top of the bridge and peel it back on both sides. There would be a new finish grade with boulders and a riprap to connect the 2 sides. That first phase, and we'll show you the cost estimate in a moment, is around, believe it or not, $75,000. We've received a $25,000 grant towards this cost, leaving us $50,000 shy to do that. If we were to try to do the concrete abutments on the caissons, that would add another $50,000 at this point in time. We're reluctant to ask for those dollars because we want to have more money to build out the full development rather than having the abutments just sitting there for a couple of years while we sort out how to pay for the bridge, whether we can get Monty Tech and others to construct it and the like. Steve, if you could bring up the cost estimate, unless there's some questions right this minute. Carrie, did you have a?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Then Steve, if you could put the cost estimate up, please. So the first phase, which is to remove the existing structure and widen it out and do those channel improvements, is $42,000. Based upon, we don't have final permitting yet. We don't know what Concom's going to want. So we're actually using a number of $50,000. The final design and construction oversight, getting that bid out, is around $25,000. We have $25,000 from the state. So we're asking the CPC to consider supporting this first phase of this project with $50,000 for that phase. If we can get it done at 42,000 or 41 or 40 or whatever, those monies come back to the CPC. Because we do want to, continue to explore Bureau of Outdoor Recreation, public access. There is a round 2 of the culvert replacement program that'll be coming out, municipal vulnerability and some other monies. But first things first is to get the top off of that and get that streamway peeled back. It'll have some initial public access benefits, as I say, but that's where we are as of today.
Can I ask, I think I might have two things going. So the request is to get us through the removal and then finishing up the final design and getting the project ready to go to bid, so that conceivably we then have a price for what it's going to take to do what we're ever going to do. And perhaps in one fell swoop, if there was funding available, we could move the project forward and finish it in one more step, or is it how many steps are you projecting?
We really think that this is going to be a 2-phase project. Steve, can you put the cost estimate back up on the screen, please? So the first phase, if you can remember that structural plan that we showed you, that removes the top, it peels the 2 sides of the causeway back, it puts the riprap back in, and it creates the natural flow between the 2 sides of the causeway. The engineer's estimate as of today is $42,000. We're asking for $50,000 because we just don't know what we have to work with until we get this thing opened up. Will there be more boulders that we need? What will we need? We just don't know until we open it up. And again, any unused dollars come back to the CPC. So we have $25,000 from the state, John, that will finish the design of phase 1, finish the permitting, put together the construction bid package, and do the construction oversight. The phase 2, which includes the 2 canoe and kayak launches on each side of the causeway, includes the parking spaces, includes the abutments to carry the pedestrian bridge, and carries the pedestrian bridge itself, is $174,000 plus final design and construction management. We're not looking to do that right now because we want to further explore grant opportunities before we ask your group for any dollars to help support this effort. There is a potential to shave the cost of the 174. Some of that is going to be found when we open up the causeway. Will we find as much granite that we can stockpile and reuse for the canoe and kayak launches as we think is there? So perhaps if there isn't, we go from 2 canoe and kayak launches to just 1 on one side of the causeway or the other. You'll see that the pedestrian bridge at 12 feet wide is around $37,500. If we bring that down to 8 feet, we save about roughly $6,000 there. The abutment altogether to carry the bridge is on the order of $40,000. Again, that would be another 6. So it's possible that 174 could be brought down, but we're just not there yet to know for sure. So at this point, what we're really asking for is the 50 to be matched with the state's $25,000, which will get us that structural sketch that you saw opening up the 2 sides so that they flow better, and we don't have a problem with it in the future. We don't have an order of conditions or our permits yet, but we think that with 50 plus the state's 25 plus what we have, we're in reasonably decent shape.
So the end result of that project would be an equalized pressure. Would the gap be larger between, the flow gap? Is that going to be greater than what's currently there?
It is. If we can get Steve to put the structural sketch back up on the screen, please.
I guess it's getting dark.
Stick around another month. It's going to be dark at 4 o'clock.
We're going to have to get John and Brad some miners helmets, I think.
Yeah, I just got out of the light. Maybe Steve's doing that. I don't know.
So right now, for those of you who are familiar with it, it's roughly as you look at this elevation in the lower left, and again, Steve, I don't know if you can increase the size of that at all again. For those of you who've been out there, that's roughly an 8 foot by 8 foot box. It's a little bit smaller. It's more like a 7 foot wide by 6 foot high box. We have beaver in there. It doesn't handle the flow between the 2 sides, so you get back up on the one side. And if you get brush debris or beaver in there, that's what caused the problems initially. So the flow base is going to be more on the order of 16 feet as opposed to the 7 foot and change that it is right now. But also it's going to be open topped. It would take substantial, once the pedestrian bridge goes in, it would take substantial beaver activity. And we'll design this thing with beaver control of some fashion, or other material before we'd have the kind of problem we had previously.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have questions for Carter?
I just have one question. On that first initial phase of it, it showed 42,000. I noticed in that was built in a 10%, what I would assume would be over cost.
Engineers always use 10%, just as a rule of thumb. There's
Right.
quite a few unknowns here, Dennis. So that's why we're asking for 50. We are very, very hopeful that we won't need that. Part of it is the control of the water. Once they start taking it apart, if we find that they can do a lot of it with what we would call dry feet, we might not have to build a cofferdam as big as the engineer has here. So this is just such an unknown. There's some small possibility of reductions, but likewise, there's a possibility of this being a little bit under. And so that we don't have to come back and we don't have to struggle to find dollars at the end, we're asking you for 50,000, knowing that any dollars that aren't spent on construction will remain the CPCs and just flow back into your accounts.
Okay.
Any other questions? So essentially, as Carter's been indicating, this is a continuation of a project. It's a process that we need to follow. And so we have a request for a project to be presented at the fall special town meeting, requesting $50,000 of the budgeted reserve for the costs associated with moving the Stone Bridge project forward. And of course, the language of such an article would be run through town council to ensure it's compliant. We know this is an open space and recreation type project, so there's no concerns about that. Do we have any discussion about whether this should move forward and or a motion to do so?
I think we have to proceed to do something with this. And I'll make a motion that we request that a warrant article be placed on the warrant for $50,000 to initiate the first phase of the Stone Bridge project.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Dennis and seconded by Joanne. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing or seeing no indication, we'll just do I'll go around and poll everybody as they're on my screen. I'm looking at Dennis,
Yes,
Brad,
Yes.
John, yes, Joanne,
Yes,
Carrie,
Yes,
George. Is that a big thumbs up? What, because you're on mute. Okay, and Mike? Mike is abstaining. So yes, you have an affirmative vote, Carter, to move forward with that, to draft the warrant article as indicated from the CPC budgeted reserve for this project phase 1.
Thank you very much for your support, and I will let you know that this has been submitted to and reviewed by the Capital Planning Committee, so there won't be any barriers from that side of things.
Great.
We'll continue to, and I know that Bob and Adam, after I leave at the end of this month, will continue to seek funds out to make sure that this project is built out in its entirety at a measured pace so that folks can enjoy both of these two bodies of water and the access to them. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Carter. And I guess that means that your term at Templeton is ending October 31st. Is that what I'm hearing?
Midnight, October 31, Adam will, the intent is that Adam will be promoted to town administrator at 12:01 a.m. of November 1. I will be available to him over the course of the coming 11 months for special projects and on an on-call consulting basis should he need some support of some fashion or a reminder of where the bodies are buried, if you will, where the various projects are, the status and which state person might be the best one to help move it forward. So yes, I signed up with y'all for 4 months, 4.5 years ago. So I'm looking forward to turning the reins over to Adam, and I think he'll do well for you.
Well, thank you very much. I'll speak for the whole committee by saying that, you know, you've brought a lot of experience and professionalism with you. And I think you've made a good role model and bringing along a junior person was a wise idea. So thank you very much for your service to Templeton.
Have a good evening, folks.
second that.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's very kind.
The other item that is next on the agenda is in relation to an update on the Gilman Waite project. So as you all recall, we voted to go forward with that. The proponent, Mr. Dill, has indicated that they, and Bob is of course a big part of that, have decided to delay that to the annual town meeting. So that will not be on the special town meeting warrant. I expressed some concern that that would slow down the project. They indicated that was their desire to do so. Of course, it doesn't get on the warrant till the selectmen do so. And I'm sure that the work can continue in preparation for that annual town meeting and then hopefully hit the ground running. Bob, do you have anything to share on that?
Well, it's I just hope we have a good Springtown meeting and everything moves forward so we're able to get some of that work done next summer and fall. I'm excited as everybody else to see it get wrapped up and put in use. And hopefully this COVID will be behind us so we can enjoy it.
Absolutely. You know, the fact that, you know, it'll be so nice to get that thing wrapped up. I know everybody will be a little disappointed that we can't have it done by town meeting, but that wasn't realistic anyway, you know, given the whole bid process. So keeping the ball rolling and the planning stages going, you know, that'll allow you to get a more complete package to present to the voters in May. So anybody have anything they want to share on that?
No.
Okay. So other than that, to report, the next item would be the CPC Finances. We've submitted our report for our annual CP3 report, and we will have not yet got a determination from the state as far as what the receiving funds will be getting in the next month for the match. You know, the state doesn't know what its budget is right now. That doesn't come from that, but they have to make some decisions. The primary point of business was to address the Stone Bridge project. So thank you all for joining on that. Now we do have a time where we can talk about any current projects, potential projects, new business or old business, if anybody has anything to bring forward.
John,
Yes, sir.
the NO notice of intent for the 4 Central Street,
Yep.
that is good until the 19th, yeah, sure, November 18th, 21. So we won't have to renew that if we get that all taken care of before then.
Oh,
Just so
good. Thank you.
you know how long you have to get it ready and to get it taken care of.
Better get her done now. Thank you so
Right.
much. It has been a while and it's lingered, and we don't want to have to go through more processes and make your job difficult
Yeah.
by reapplying.
Well, I went through with it and made sure what the date was that it would be ending, just so we could mention it now and give you time to think and get it done, taken care of.
Great. So we have 1 year to wrap that baby up.
1 year.
And
Yep.
we will be busy in 2021, hopefully all doing good things and maybe even together, who knows? Anything else to discuss?
Just an update on the Dwelly project where we cleared the 3 acres of the diseased conifer trees and invasive species. So now we're investigating with a biologist some of the native plants that we want to bring back to establish a pollinator garden. So we're actively working on that phase of the, there's no town money involved in that, but it's kind of the wrap up of the land clearing project.
That's great. We should all get out there. I drive by it every day and like to see what's out in the back. And then there'll be the clearing of the field. Will that happen this year?
Yeah, the field is clear.
I mean, the stumping.
Oh, no, I believe it's been stumped. I think that was done by not Lajua, but somebody out of Ashburnham. So we're actually in the seed, looking for seed and starting plugs and so forth right now.
Okay, well, thank you for that update. Anything else anybody want to bring up? Our next meeting will be back on the second Thursday schedule, so that would put us on November 12th. That I fully anticipate will be another Zoom meeting. Brad and I may need to actually go in the house.
Hopefully.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
The lighting's better in there. We do have a light. Okay, so if we don't have anything else, we could call this meeting if there was a motion as such.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you all very much, and thank you, TCTV.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.